I'd like to welcome everybody to our white coat ceremony. But before we start, it's October 25th. I'd like to take a moment in remembrance of the Lewiston shootings, please. Thank you. Let me introduce our platform party. On my right here, we have Dr. Carrie Martin, Director of our Experiential Education and the Class of 2028 Advisor. Our keynote speaker, Justin Richards, and we'll get an introduction later on Justin. And to my left is Buddy Mills, Associate Dean of Student and Clinical Affairs for the Westbrook College of Health Professions. For those who don't know, I'm the interim dean. My name is Dr. Stephen Sicanolfi, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of leading the School of Pharmacy since September of last year. The white coat. This is a time-honored tradition, marks a significant milestone for incoming pharmacy students, symbolizing their entry into the profession and a commitment to patient care and pharmaceutical practice. This event will feature students collectively reciting a pledge of professionalism, affirming their commitment to the highest standards of pharmacy practice. And during our ceremony, faculty members will present students with their white coat, emblematic of their dedication to clinical service and professional ethics. Let's get a brief introduction for our keynote speaker. He was recently recognized as the Pharmacists Mutual and the Maine Pharmacy Association as the Distinguished Young Pharmacist Award. He just received that this past year, actually received it in this building, right? Okay. This award is presented annually to pharmacists across the United States. This award recognizes individual excellence and outstanding contribution to pharmacy associations and communities. He works over at Covetrus. All right, Covetrus is a organization that provides veterinary pharmacy. Okay, and if you get on the page, you're there. What's your dog's name?
My dog?
Yeah.
Sir, Mr. Dr. Sergeant Pepper.
Sir, Mr. Dr. Sergeant Pepper. Okay, all right. All right, but one of the things that happens at Covetrus is that they actually take on students on a rotation. We have our APPE rotations, Advanced Pharmacy Practice Experience, and they get a chance to learn what veterinary pharmacy is like. And what you do there is provide not only an experience of what it is to be like a veterinary pharmacy, but also what it is to be a pharmacist. And he does that very well as he's been recognized for what he does in this piece. So we're very happy to have him here as our keynote speaker. Justin, oh, you're also an alum too, sorry. Okay, so Justin, would you please?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's always amazing to be back here on this beautiful campus, and it is an immense honor to be able to speak before you today. As he said, my name is Justin. I am Maine born, bred, and educated. I'm originally from a little town called Dixfield, Maine, nestled in the Western foothills. And I'd like to start today's address off with an apology. If you came to this ceremony thinking, man, I can't wait to watch some random guy talk at me for an hour, I'm sincerely sorry, because that is not what I'm here to do. I've always been a firm believer in the notion that if something is worth saying, say it well and make it concise. With that in mind, I promise to keep things as brief as I can while making this a worthwhile experience for you. My initial venture in the world of pharmacy was not actually as a practitioner, but rather as a patient. As a teenager, I suffered from a condition called kyphosis, which is more commonly referred to as a hunchback. When I hit puberty, rather than growing up big and tall, I grew forward and crumpled, and developed over an 80-degree curvature in my spine. I experimented with physical therapy and back braces, but unfortunately my condition was too severe and required surgical intervention once I finished growing at the age of 18. My senior year of high school, I finally went under the knife, and after 18 hours, 2 rods, 26 screws, and 5 inches of gained height, I woke up in a hospital bed and was given a little white tablet that magically made all my pain go away. I'm sure the pharmacists in the room are already having a great idea of what that drug may have been, but to make it clear to everyone, that was, in fact, oxycodone. Initially, as a teenager with no prior drug knowledge, I was bewildered by how powerful a single pill could be. Over the next few months of recovery, my bewilderment with this drug slowly morphed into horrifying concern as the immense side effects and developed dependency from this drug caused me more torment than kyphosis ever did on its own. This also came at a time when the harm around narcotic prescribing practices were not fully realized by the healthcare community at large. Of the numerous healthcare practitioners involved in my intensive care, only my local community pharmacist in Rumford, Maine, provided me with proper counsel on the symptoms I was experiencing and laid out the true risks associated with relying on opiates so heavily for such a long surgical recovery. With his advice and a lot of help from my family, I managed to transition to over-the-counter pain management far sooner than deemed necessary and in some cases appropriate by the rest of my healthcare team. In hindsight, that pharmacist may have saved me from the dire fates suffered from so many Americans through what we now refer to as the opioid epidemic. My experience with pharmaceutical duality between medicine's immense healing powers and potential for destruction if used unwisely, along with the impression made by my incredibly knowledgeable community pharmacist, instilled within me a burning desire to learn everything I could about pharmacology, and hopefully one day become that small-town pharmacist who is a cornerstone of their community. Throughout my entire academic journey to a PharmD, my focus was always on community pharmacy, and upon graduation, I did achieve that dream, and I got my first job as a retail pharmacist and absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, as a graduate of the class of 2019, I managed to get a good 5-6 months of practice under my belt, just long enough to get comfortable at my job, and then a pandemic hit and turned the entire world on its head. As pharmacists, we were on the front lines of the public health response. I'm glad I performed the role I did for the brunt of the pandemic because I felt I was giving the greatest impact I could for the well-being of my community. But after a few years, I, like many healthcare providers, burnt myself completely out, and I needed a change for my own well-being. It was a hard pill to swallow, pun absolutely intended there, but very early on in my career, I reached a point where what I worked toward for most of my life was no longer what I desired. This is when I truly began to explore what else I could do with my degree and took on a series of unique opportunities. I contracted first with local law offices to serve as an expert witness in pharmacology. In this capacity, I would provide medical analysis and testimony on legal cases involving complex health disorders and polypharmacy. Distilling intricate medical knowledge into a palatable form for judges, lawyers, and juries proved to be a highly rewarding experience and allowed me to help individuals in harrowing circumstances in a way I never actually thought possible for a pharmacist. I also started working with Covetrus, a veterinary pharmacy based here in Portland, specializing in companion animal care, mostly cats, dogs, and horses. In this capacity, I gained an understanding of care and learned that for many people, their pets truly are a part of their family, and they treat them the same that you might treat a sibling or a child. With that, they deserve the same level and quality of care that we give to our fellow human, regardless of how fluffy they are or how wet their nose is. Both jobs and roles I didn't know existed while at school, and both have been incredibly fulfilling, challenging, and fun roles that I highly recommend to any pharmacist who might be looking for a career change. Now, in telling my story, I aim to express two supreme lessons I've learned in my life. First, as a pharmacist, you are the most accessible and most trusted health professional there is. With this status comes immense responsibility. Regardless of the role that you may serve day to day, behind every task, every quality check, every prescription, and every consult is an individual with a family, an individual with hopes, with dreams, with aspirations, an individual with a soul, an individual who is putting their full health and well-being in your hands. You will serve as the final check in a long line of healthcare providers to ensure that all their work is also accurate, safe, and effective. Pharmacy is not just counting pills, it is protecting all aspects of life. Therefore, you must understand that which most people will never know, so that you may guide them through the most difficult challenges that they may face. Second, the opportunities afforded to you are endless and only limited by your imagination. Currently, it's estimated that there are over 100 different unique career paths a pharmacist can take with a PharmD. There is no one-size-fits-all. As healthcare continues to grow and evolve, so do too the opportunities that require your expertise. It's also never too early or never too late to try something new. Now, I'd like to address the guests in the audience here today who've come here to support these incredible individuals who are receiving their white coats. I first want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done to support them in the past, and more importantly, to thank you in advance for all of the love and support that they will need from you in the future. This is a rigorous program that requires the utmost dedication and focus. They may miss some home visits or family gatherings. They may seem distant from time to time when they're incredibly busy, and occasionally they might need a last-minute helping hand. It may be hard to grasp the stress and workload they'll be balancing, but I promise you that your patience and your understanding is the best possible gift that you can give them at this time. And when I was a student here, I wore many hats and served various roles, but specifically, when I was class president, I had the unique opportunity to task my classmates with formulating a list of keys to success that hopefully we would one day be able to pass on to the next generation of pharmacists. Now, for the class of 2028, this is the gift I leave with you now. These are the keys that guided my colleagues through their time here at this very institution and continue to guide them in their wonderful careers. Grades are very important, but they certainly aren't everything. Now is the time to start diversifying your CV so you're as well-rounded and competitive as possible upon entering the workforce. Internships, club involvement, community service, research, and leadership are often weighed just as much as your GPA when applying to residency or initial pharmacist roles. And the longer you're out of school, the less people will care how you did on a specific therapeutics exam. The world of pharmacy is very small. Always remember that your fellow students and your professors, without a doubt, will be your future bosses, your future colleagues, subordinates, and collaborators. It might not happen in a year or 2 years. It might be 10 or 20 years. But you'd be amazed how the market keeps shifting around and you keep running into your old colleagues. With that in mind, always be professional and avoid burning professional bridges at all costs. You won't always be at 100%, but always give as much as you can give. Many times you will have too much on your plate to give everything your full attention. If you're burned out from exams, schoolwork, or a busy schedule, and can only give 30% on a given day, just make sure you give that full 30%. You owe it to yourself to put your best foot forward, even if you have a hole in your shoe. Find your group. This path is a grueling one to travel alone, so team up as much as possible with your classmates. Collaborate on study guides, quiz each other regularly, share as much knowledge as possible. Competitiveness can be very blinding and limit your full capabilities. If everyone helps lift each other up, you will all be higher in the end. Don't lose sight of the big picture. There will be good days and there will be bad days. One bad performance will fade with time, so it's not worth wasting energy being mad at yourself. When you get knocked down, get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. If you follow these tips, I promise you great rewards as you travel along your journey. Congratulations to the class of 2028 on this momentous achievement. Wear your white coats with pride, and I look very forward to seeing all the amazing things that you achieve in your careers. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to bring Dr. Martin up, where she's going to have the students, the future pharmacists, all right, recite the Pledge of Professionalism.
We're going to be saying the Pledge of Professionalism, and we are going to do this together. All right. 1, 2, 3. As a student of pharmacy, I believe there is a need to build and reinforce a professional identity founded on integrity, ethical behavior, and honor. This development, a vital process in my education, will help ensure that I am true to the professional relationship I establish between myself, society, as I become a member of the pharmacy community. Integrity must be an essential part of my everyday life, and I must practice pharmacy with honesty and commitment to excellence. To service, also excellent. To accomplish this goal of professional development, I, as a student of pharmacy, should develop a sense of loyalty and duty to the profession of pharmacy by being a builder of community, one able and willing to contribute to the well-being of others, and one who enthusiastically accepts the responsibility and accountability for membership in the profession. Foster professional competency through lifelong learning. I must strive for high ideals, teamwork, and unity within the profession in order to provide optimal patient care. Support my colleagues by actively encouraging personal commitment to the oath of Maimonides and a code of ethics as set forth by the profession. Incorporate into my life and practice dedication to excellence. This will require an ongoing reassessment of personal and professional values. Maintain the highest ideals and professional attributes to ensure and facilitate the covenantal relationship required of the pharmaceutical caregiver. The profession of pharmacy is one that demands adherence to a set of rigid ethical standards. These high ideals are necessary to ensure the quality of care extended to the patients I serve. As a student of pharmacy, I believe this does not start with graduation. Rather, it begins with my membership in this professional college community. Therefore, I must strive to uphold these standards as I advance toward a full membership in the profession of pharmacy. All right. I would like to introduce first Mohammed Al-Robai from Maine, who comes to us from the University of New England pre-pharmacy program. Next is Lily Bennett from Massachusetts, who comes to us from UNE pre-pharmacy program. Next is Evan Bourget from Massachusetts, who comes to us from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. Next is Leah Deshane from Maine, coming to us from the UNE's pre-pharmacy program. I would actually now like to invite up to the stage Dr. Brittany Demmons from our pharmacy class of 2021. And Dr. Demmons will be actually coding her sister. So next is Madeline Demmons from Maine, who comes to us from St. Joseph's College of Pharmacy. College of Maine. Next is Derek Faubert from New York, coming to us from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. Next is Nordia Gaynor, who's actually part of our class of 2027. Nordia is an advanced standing track student, which means that she is a pharmacist abroad and who's getting her degree here at UNE in the United States. So she comes from Jamaica and then Bermuda, and she comes from the University of Technology in Jamaica. Next is Taylor Guesty from New York, who comes to us from the UNE's pre-pharmacy program. Next, we have Andrew Gray from Maine, who comes to us from Southern Maine Community College. Next, we have Isabella Libby from Maine, who comes to us from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. Next is Andrew Marcoux from Maine, who comes to us from Husson University's pre-pharmacy program. Next, we have Ava Martinez from Massachusetts, who comes to us from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. Next is Johnny Mees from Maine, from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. All right, next is Emma Miller from Maine, coming to us from University of New Hampshire. Next, we have Ashton Myers from New Hampshire, coming to us from the University of New Hampshire. Next is Brandon Rockwell from Pennsylvania, coming to us from the University of Maine at Orono. Next, we have Evan Tenorelli from Pennsylvania, coming to us from UNE's pre-pharmacy program. And finally, we have Allison Weymouth from Maine, coming to us from the University of Maine. Let's have one more round of applause for the class of 2028.
My last remark's going to be really short because I'm standing between you and the reception food, and we want to get you there. So I just have one thing really to say, and it's to my students because they've been unfortunately to have me as their instructor for these last 4 weeks up on it. You know, when I look at you and I look at pharmacy, and I'm saying, you know, I can't predict the future of pharmacy. But when I look at you, I can see the future of what pharmacy is going to be. And there is a great bright light coming down the road because of you. Now, as you were coming in, you saw a number of our students. Will the SBOA students please rise? These are members of the Student Board of Advocates, Ryan White, okay, Alexis Radzisi, Casey Hoon, Madeline Marston, Sarah Ray, and Evan Miller. We have an organization, a Student Board of Advocates, which helps out on events like the White Coat Ceremony with recruitment, and there's a lot of things that we couldn't do without this type of student volunteering and work, so thank you very, very much. You can be seated. I also want to recognize Amber Pingree. Amber, would you stand up, please? Amber is the architect of this program, and other than the one little thing that we had, but she did a fabulous job of moving forward. She is probably one of the most efficient office managers that I've had the privilege to work with in over 25 years of higher education administration. So let's end now. I'm going to invite you all into the next room. Get a chance to, if you want to get some pictures, come on up, get a picture with the background.